Concerns about China's economic situation have escalated in recent years, with some analysts suggesting a potential bankruptcy scenario, especially in its real estate sector. The collapse of major property developers like Evergrande reflects broader financial strain. Evergrande, one of China's largest developers, recently faced liquidation orders due to its inability to meet debt obligations, owing roughly $300 billion. This has had ripple effects on both the Chinese economy and global markets, as housing projects remain incomplete and foreign investors face losses. China's real estate sector, historically a growth engine, is experiencing a downturn that affects local governments reliant on land sales for revenue. Beijing's Three Red Lines policy, aimed at reducing developers' debt loads, has tightened financing, leading to reduced spending and stunted economic growth. Additionally, local government debt is mounting, further complicating recovery efforts and adding to fears of broader fiscal instability. The slowdown has been exacerbated by a decline in consumer confidence, partly due to high youth unemployment and weak domestic demand. China's GDP growth, once in the double digits, is now much lower, expected to remain below target in 2024. With less foreign investment and a contraction in the real estate sector, the government is deploying stimulus measures, though their impact is uncertain. Another contributing factor is the aging population, leading to slower workforce growth and impacting long-term economic productivity. Amid these demographic shifts, China's economy is also experiencing a rise in insolvencies among various sectors, not just real estate. Manufacturing and technology firms have also reported financial strain, signaling challenges across multiple industries. China's attempts to control this economic downturn include issuing additional bonds and deploying stimulus packages to stabilize sectors like infrastructure. However, whether these interventions can address the systemic debt problems remains uncertain. The government is also trying to control capital outflows as foreign investors increasingly divest from Chinese assets amid the financial uncertainty. Global implications are significant, as China is the world's second-largest economy. A severe downturn could impact commodity prices, disrupt trade flows, and affect economies that depend on Chinese manufacturing. Many global investors are cautious, fearing a broader economic slump that could result from China's slowdown. The Chinese leadership faces mounting pressure to avoid a financial crisis while balancing its domestic policies with global economic obligations. Analysts predict that without structural reforms to address debt, the Chinese economy may continue to face headwinds in achieving sustainable growth.
Firstly, thank you for watching, and don't forget to smash that like, subscribe, and notification bell for more global finance uncovered, as we continue to work hard and around the clock to always deliver and improve on our content for you. We would greatly appreciate your additional support by you clicking the like button, notification bell, and subscribe button and joining our channel's growth.
The financial troubles of Chinese developers like Evergrande highlight a deeper challenge within China's debt-fueled growth model. As developers struggle, the effects extend beyond incomplete buildings and into banks, suppliers, and the financial markets that support them. Evergrande's debt restructuring plans face uncertainty, with foreign creditors left in limbo as courts consider liquidation plans. This adds a layer of mistrust among international investors, impacting future foreign direct investment (FDI) flows into China. China's local governments, heavily indebted and reliant on land sales, are also feeling the crunch. Many are reducing spending on essential services due to decreased revenue from the real estate sector. This creates social strain as fewer resources are available for healthcare, education, and public welfare. The resulting instability can be seen in China's rising youth unemployment and discontent among the middle class, who have invested heavily in real estate as a primary form of savings. Real estate is tightly interwoven with the Chinese economy, contributing significantly to GDP. The government is cautious about directly intervening, fearing that over-involvement might create moral hazards, encouraging risky lending and investments in the future. The aim is to stabilize the market without incentivizing further debt dependency. This cautious approach is being met with skepticism by foreign creditors, who are doubtful of Beijing's capacity to manage such a vast debt burden without extensive restructuring. The economic slowdown in China is also reflected in weakened demand for imports, affecting global supply chains and economies that depend on Chinese consumption. Countries like Australia, Brazil, and many in Southeast Asia that export commodities to China are seeing reduced demand, which affects their own economic forecasts. This decrease in imports, coupled with weakened exports, has led to declining trade volumes, adding to global economic uncertainty. On the consumer side, the Chinese public is increasingly anxious as they grapple with unfinished housing projects, lower household wealth, and shrinking job opportunities. Middle-class savings are now tied up in real estate investments, leading to lower consumption rates as people hesitate to spend. This domestic slowdown reduces demand for goods and services, further impacting local businesses and, by extension, international companies that rely on the Chinese market.
Financial analysts warn that China's hidden debt, including off-balance sheet liabilities, could be even higher than reported. Such shadow banking activities make it harder to gauge the actual debt burden, posing risks to financial stability. This hidden debt complicates the government's ability to monitor and manage the economy effectively, as many of these debts are held by local governments and are tied to risky real estate projects. China's economic trajectory is significant for the global economy, given the interconnectedness of financial markets and trade. A continued slump in China could weigh on global growth projections, making the recovery from post-pandemic disruptions even more challenging. Many financial institutions worldwide have revised their forecasts for China's GDP growth downward, anticipating that a protracted slowdown could lead to a lower overall global growth rate. In response to these challenges, Beijing is likely to increase fiscal measures such as bond issuance and liquidity injections to stabilize the economy. However, experts caution that these measures may provide only short-term relief if structural issues are not addressed. A shift towards a more sustainable growth model, less reliant on real estate and more on innovation and domestic consumption, could be crucial for China's long-term economic health. The Chinese government's options for handling its economic slowdown and real estate crisis are complex, and experts highlight the need for cautious but comprehensive reform. Relying heavily on real estate, which forms a large part of household wealth, has made the economy vulnerable. Now, Beijing may need to pursue economic diversification to avoid future pitfalls, potentially expanding sectors like tech, green energy, and domestic consumption. This restructuring comes as the country faces challenges from its aging population, which threatens workforce size and economic output. Reduced labor growth could strain social systems, especially as debt levels rise, making it crucial for China to balance economic stimulus with measures to address demographic concerns. Without a younger workforce to sustain productivity, maintaining a stable economy could become increasingly difficult. Furthermore, the Chinese leadership must carefully navigate public sentiment. The collapse of the real estate market has left citizens distrustful, as investments once considered stable have become a source of financial anxiety. Many middle-class Chinese now face the dual burden of mortgage payments and stagnant property values, weakening overall consumer confidence, which in turn impacts retail, services, and broader economic health.
Internationally, China's economic issues have prompted many investors to reconsider the risks associated with the country's opaque financial markets and regulatory framework. As foreign investors grow wary, capital outflows increase, which may undermine the stability of China's currency, the yuan. A weakening yuan could complicate the country's trade dynamics, impacting export competitiveness while raising the cost of imports. In response, some analysts suggest that Beijing may shift towards promoting policies that enhance regional trade partnerships, especially within Asia. Strengthening these ties could alleviate some of the economic pressures by expanding trade opportunities in closer, more stable markets. This focus on regional ties aligns with the Belt and Road Initiative, which aims to solidify China's economic influence through infrastructure and development projects. Domestically, pressure is mounting for the government to reform property rights and makes it easier for residents to purchase homes affordably. This might help stabilize the housing market in the long term by reducing speculative investments and encouraging ownership among younger populations. A focus on making property ownership more accessible could create a more balanced and less volatile housing sector. China's leaders may also need to implement new strategies for debt management, especially with regard to local government debt. Experts have proposed debt restructuring mechanisms, which could help local governments manage their finances more sustainably. These measures might allow local authorities to provide public services effectively without relying so heavily on real estate revenue, potentially stabilizing budgets. The future of China's economy may ultimately depend on its ability to adapt to these new realities while ensuring that its policies promote sustainable, diversified growth. This is especially crucial as the global economy watches closely, given China's significant role in international trade and investment. How China manages these challenges could shape economic conditions worldwide, influencing both developed and emerging markets alike.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to smash that subscribe, like, and notification bell for more global finance uncovered.